Welcome to the summit. Thanks for stopping by today. Hi, I'm Joey McWilliams. Glad that you are along for the ride today. And we have a special guest, the new coach of the emerging sport, flag football. It's a new one in the NAIA, and it's Coach Jeffrey Melesky from Weber International University. Coach, thank you for stopping by and taking a little time with us today here on the summit.
Thanks for having me.
Listen, Coach, your resume is about a mile long. It's just really impressive to see what all that you have done, not only in recent years with flag football, but just in the past 10 or 20 years. Now, I don't want to make it sound like you're old by saying that, but talking about flag football, you're coming off of 3 consecutive national championships on the club level at the University of Florida. Can we start right there?
Oh, sure. It's funny story about Florida. We had when I was coaching high school at Robinson in Tampa, we had a couple kids that went to Florida, a couple kids from our flag football team, and one girl decided she wanted to start the flag football club there, and contacted a bunch of people and set it up herself, and then called a couple of the coaches over at Robinson and said, "Hey, we really need y'all's help. Can you guys come up once or twice a week and then go to these tournaments with us and just kind of give us the guidance?" And it was a no-brainer for myself and a couple other coaches. And from that point, it just took off. We got great kids, kids that played in high school, kids that played soccer, some kids that we had a couple kids that went to University of Florida on soccer scholarships and decided that, it wasn't quite for them and came out for flag football and loved it. And, 3 in a row at the club level was awesome. And we knew that if we took this and ran with it at Florida, that hopefully it would get some attention. And well, here we go now at NAIA emerging sport, and we couldn't be happier about that.
That is fantastic. I was actually going to ask about the trip there, as you have, a couple-hour drive from Robinson High School, I'm sure, up there to the campus there in Gainesville. So a couple times a week, not bad. I was wondering about that, how you were able to take part in both programs. But it's impressive. And there at Robinson also, 5 state championships as well, in 14, 16, 17, 18, 19. And it looks like you really have it going at the high school level as well.
It was a factory there, basically. We would just bring kids in, and when once school was over in June, we'd start practice for AAU right after that, usually a week after, and we get incoming freshmen and kids that were new to the program. And basically through all the off-season work and all the AAU stuff that we do, I think we figured out that our girls at Robinson during the off-season played the equivalent of 3 or 4 seasons just during the off season. So that was one of those things. It was a factory. We just kept bringing kids in and working them through, and, they bought into everything. The funny thing about high school flag football, and now of course you're looking at the college level, is there are so many girls that are scared or I don't know flag football is what they would say. I don't know how to play. And you know what? Nobody really knows how to play until you get out there, because it's brand new for everybody. Unless you played it when you were like 2, 3, 4, 5 years old at that level, no one really knows. So we had these girls come in and say, and just trust us. And we told them, you know what? If you give us 2 or 3 days of practice, we promise that you're going to love it. And if you don't love it, well then, it just didn't work out, and we wish you the best. But you're going to love it, and you're gonna want to play flag football, and I cannot say enough how excited I am that now it's at the collegiate level, because now we can offer scholarships, and now these girls now are not just playing flag football in high school and not being able to go anywhere with it. So it's super exciting time right now.
That is fantastic. Well, I have 4 daughters as well. A couple of them already passed high school, but still, that just another opportunity in another sport to be able to play, just like what you're talking about, Coach. That really is neat. We're speaking with Coach Jeffrey Melesky here on the summit on Southeast Sports Net, and I do encourage you, please do subscribe to the YouTube channel. We would appreciate that a lot. Coach, I mentioned your resume being a mile long. You've coached not only flag football, also cheer, as well as, high school basketball, soccer too. You talked about soccer and taking some of those girls from the campus up there at Gainesville, but you coached the soccer as well. How did you settle into, and I really don't know if I should use that term or not, because you found a way to get around to a lot of different things, but how have you settled in right now to flag football?
I'm a coach by nature. I love to coach young athletes, and I love to mold and bring them up. And coaching is not just X's and O's. You're teaching life lessons, and I know that sounds pretty cliche, but you really are. I mean, the coaches, I say it all the time, but the coaches they spend more time with those kids than some of their parents do sometimes. So I mean, it's like a family. You're their dad. You're their second dad. It's funny. I went to Virginia Tech, and I went there, and I really didn't know what I wanted to do. There was a couple different options for me. I thought about the soccer program there. I thought about the cross country program there, and just on a whim, I ended up showing up at a cheerleading practice, and I had never done anything before like that. And it was 2 days. It's just like we tell the girls in flag football: you give us 2 days. If you don't love it, you can go on your way. If you do, then it is what it is. And I fell in love with cheerleading when I was doing all the partner stunts and stuff like that. It was a challenge to me because it was something I'd never done. And then from that point forward, it was cheer. I did leave Virginia Tech for a short period of time and went back to my hometown, where I was a pretty decent athlete in high school, and had coaches that were my mentors. And I basically talked to them and said, "Hey, I'd like to coach." And they're like, "What do you want to coach?" I was like, "Anything you want me to coach, I'll coach." My first coaching gig I got back at Prince George High School in Virginia was the middle school girls basketball program. Let me tell you what an adventure that is with 6th, 7th, and 8th grade girls who don't know what they're doing. It's I always tell the funny story. I always tell the very first game, I had to take a timeout before the game even started because I did not realize that none of these girls knew what a jump ball was or anything. Like, they didn't know how to go check into the game. And here I am, practice. I'm teaching X's and O's and plays and all this. And we had girls that didn't know they had to go to the scores table and check in. We didn't even know how to line up for a jump ball. So it was kind of funny. And you sit there and you go, "Oh, I'm gonna make sure we cover all the ground here." But between basketball and soccer, I played soccer in high school. It was just I just want to coach, and anywhere that there's a position for me to coach, I jump all over it. So I'm glad to be here at Weber, and I hope that there's other options around campus that I can help out, and hopefully maybe give some knowledge maybe. And if there isn't, then you know what? We're going to have the best flag football team in the country. I can guarantee that.
That sounds like a great guarantee, Coach. I'm going to be watching then. I want to watch to see how this progresses. You've definitely piqued my interest to see that. Coach, you also do cheer, as you mentioned, and have been doing that even on that high school level there at Robinson. Do you find that you have some crossover athletes that come from one to the other and find that they like flag football as well?
Oh, yeah, 100%. And that's at every sport. When we were at Robinson, we had volleyball players, we had soccer players, we had cheerleaders, we had lacrosse kids. We even managed to talk the softball coach into letting us have some softball girls. And it was the same season in the spring. So we kind of juggled schedules around, and we told the softball girls, "Listen, softball is your sport. That's your main sport. If there's something that you're expected to be at for softball, then we want you to be at softball, and whatever you can give us, we'll take it." And the cool thing was to see, softball practice would end at 5:00, and flag football practice would end at 5:30. And these girls are running from the softball field over to the flag football field just to get in a couple reps. And but we would take you find. I mean, athletes are athletes. When you're at the high school level, at any level, athletes are athletes, and you're good athletes. You're going to be good at just about everything that they try. So we would go and reach out, and we'd have the captains of the volleyball team, the captains of the basketball team, the captains of the soccer team. And I mean, when all these kids buy into what you're doing and work their tails off, it's a pretty good product.
Coach, speaking now for Weber, and we've talked about getting to this point now. Let's talk about what you have and what do you see then for the upcoming year and for the spring of 21?
It's interesting. There are 16 teams in the United States that have committed to having a flag football program, and they're all across the country. So there's 5 teams here in Florida. There's a couple in Georgia, 3 in Kansas, 1 in Nebraska, 1 in Louisiana. There's 1 all the way out in California. But I don't know. We're all gonna have to sit down and get together and figure out, hey, how is this gonna work here as far as who we're gonna play and how we're gonna get there, and I think we're all in this to where we want to make it work, and we want it to be a good product so that other schools decide that they want to have flag football, and then it gets to the NCAA level also. So hopefully, I think it only goes up from here. It only goes up from here, and of course we want to put the best possible product on the field so that it's not a failure. It's not they don't say, oh well, we shouldn't have done that. No, we want to put this good product on the field so that everyone stands up and says, hey, everybody needs this.
Coach, then last question, and again, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much for visiting with us today. And when the NAIA has put this forth and listed as an emerging sport right now, I know there will be, or at least scheduled to have an invitational championship in 22 then, so that would be the next athletic year coming up. To be a championship sport, I know they need to have 40 teams at least to be competing on that level throughout the NAIA. Is this a sport then that schools can look at fairly readily then and say, yes, we can make that investment? We feel like that this is an investment that definitely is something for us.
I think what has to happen is the high school levels. They have to get it at the high school level. Right now, it is a varsity sport in Florida with 265 schools participating in the state of Florida, something to that. I don't know the exact number. It's right around there. I know that Georgia has just added it last year, so Georgia makes it a varsity sport for high school. And now it's a matter of every state or the majority of the states adding it as a high school sport and realizing how great the sport is. And once you have these, right now, I think Nevada, Las Vegas has flag football in high school, and a couple areas up in Alaska, but there isn't many programs across the states that it is in the high school level. So once we get in the high school level, I think the colleges have to get on board, and then I think the sport will blow up bigger than most other sports in the college level.
That is fantastic. Well, it seems like a great sport. I look forward to following you all and what you do in this year specifically, and then in the upcoming years as well. Coach Jeffrey Melesky, thank you so much for taking time here on the Summit on Southeast Sportsnet.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much. We're looking forward to this season. Thank you.
I appreciate everyone for watching today. Again, please do subscribe to this channel, Southeast Sportsnet, and we're glad that you were along for the ride today. God bless you. Have a great day.